Good morning, Dr. Lawrence Roybal, Mr. Extraordinary. Good to see you. Time to post and share. Post and share. We're going to have a great morning with three dynamic women on Cafecito con Colon during this Women's History Month. All right. Good morning, Jeanette. Good to see you this morning. You tell Mr. Baca that Brian Colon Pecoso sends his regards. Agustin Montoya coming in from Condado de Torrance. Joseph Valdez, Jonathan Muniz. Your call is the first call I make after I finish Cafecito con Colon today. Sorry, I've been in back-to-back meetings since 4:45 this morning. It is a beautiful, fantastic, fabulous Friday on Cafecito con Colon. Welcome on this 12th day of March, right here in the land of enchantment, the Tierra del Encanto, the 47 star on that beautiful flag of the United States of America. Welcome, welcome to all my Cafecito colleagues, my extrovert therapists, and we are getting through this. Let me just tell you, if you missed the presentation and the speech, the emotion, the compassion, the empathy that was exhibited by our president last night, it's worth a watch. Go back, check that out. He brought some good news. I want to just celebrate that we are, on this day after the anniversary of the beginning of the pandemic officially, which was March 11th, not just based on the World Health Organization declaring it a pandemic. It was the anniversary of the first day that we had a New Mexico case of COVID-19. And in fact, we had 4 cases that day. And so we were wrong. I remember kind of making light of the situation about a week earlier and saying, look, we're the only state in the Southwest without a COVID case. It must be the green chili. And then we learned, of course, on March 11th that this was going to be pervasive and that millions of people were going to lose their lives, be hospitalized, and that New Mexico was not going to escape that fate. And so we take just a moment again to lift up and send our positive energy, our light, our love, our prayers. This morning was kind of a heavy morning. I led a rosary this morning for Steve Montoya, one of my friends who passed away last week. Those of you that stepped up to give me some encouragement last week, as I lost 4 loved ones, 4 folks who had an impact on my life all in one week, and it was very heavy. But I can't think of a better way to come up from the clouds or from those overcast emotions than to come together with 3 dynamic women. And that's what happens today on Cafecito con Colon. So I want to say welcome to my incredible and always present on Fridays, Jessica Perea of Enlace in New Mexico.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm terrific. You blurred out your background today. Hey, you're on mute. Que bárbaro, I can't hear you.
Oops. No, I said I was playing around with like the background filters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing the same. I was thinking that I love this International Women's Day, of course, which has already passed by like 4 days now. But I like this one because somehow I feel like I look more skinny, más flaco. But I'm not sure that it's true. It's probably just in my head. But that I was using that background, and then I had the other one that I was using. Which do you like, that one? That one better, or the one I had? So we got some good women. This one here. Okay. Well, I try and follow the professor's instructions, so we're going to go right there with that one for Women's History Month. So that's me. Jessica's blurred out, but she is bright and shining as ever, continuing to crush it at our flagship institution. She is going to do amazing things with her life, and I'm proud to be in her corner. And I am a better person for her being in my world. Thank you, Jessica, for coming back today on Friday. We've also got two dynamic guests, thanks to the New Mexico Hispanic Heritage Committee and Enlace, who collaborate with Cafecito con Colon on Fridays to bring you this episode where we shine a bright spotlight. In fact, two of them, I got one in each hand, spotlights on dynamic Hispanic leaders. And today is no different. We are really lifting up the Hispanic Women's Council and its multi-generation impact. So we have Profesora, we have Laila Flores Dueñas with us. She doesn't have the little tilde over her end, but let me be clear, it's Dueñas and not without the tilde there. We got to make sure we get that in there. Especially when your last name's Colon and everybody calls you Colon your whole life, Professor, you try and get those accent marks in there. And then we have the incredible president of the Hispanic Women's Council with us. Good morning, Marisa, Madam President. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you. Thank you so much for having us.
Of course, Marisa Elias. Good to have you on Cafecito con Colon. So let me just, I've had some fun here. So it's already 9:07. Let me post up just a couple of quick links today. I always say that and then I take longer than I expected. But let me try it. Good morning, Dr. Jennifer Gomez Chavez. Good to see you this morning. Welcome back to Cafecito con Colon. So this was kind of cool. Global Citizen, and everybody knows I love Global Citizen. Their article posted up about 14 feminist heroes you should know and celebrate according to Global Citizen. So they asked Global Citizens to give a shout out to their favorite feminists, and their answers are pretty surprising. I'm not going to go through them all, but I will just tell you that I was telling the young ladies before the professora got on the line here, I was talking to them about who's on the banner photo. And the cover photo for this article is Dolly Parton. And it made me think for a minute. I was like, okay, Global Citizen, International, and there's Dolly Parton front and center. And then I thought a little bit more about it. And I was telling these young ladies, Professor, you and I can appreciate what she did over time in history and what that movie 9 to 5 meant, and how on the big screen we finally found a powerful, smart woman pushing back on a male boss and owning her space and place, right? In a comical way, but also in a way that sent a signal and a message that was important. But then I realized that neither one of these ladies had been born by the time that movie was produced. Isn't that funny?
Of course.
Isn't that funny? But they knew who Dolly Parton was.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So check out that piece. Global Citizen does a fun job with that. And then the New York Times had a good piece today, because anybody know what, probably the young ladies will know this, but Professor, I don't know if you knew it or not, but are you familiar with this Mike Winkelmann guy? So Mike Winkelmann created this JPEG. He's a digital artist, and these digital artists are called Beeples. And it's sold online yesterday for $69 million. $69 million for this digital piece of art. Just amazing. It started out at $100. And within towards the end, it went up to, like 30 million, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, it goes for 69 million bucks. It's called Everyday, the first 5,000 days. It's a collage of all the images that the artist known as Beeple has been posting online every day since 2007. So there's a link to that kind of pop culture story, but it certainly caught my eye. It's everywhere. Like I'm posting the Time story, but it's everywhere. Here is another important story. So I'm all over the board today. I didn't order my links in the way I normally do. Local, national, happy, sad, heavy, light. So these are totally random. But this story is important. And I feel bad because I haven't really brought this up, and Jessica probably knows this, but I will tell you, the young people, I think, are more in tune with this particular really disappointing thing that's going on right now, that's finally getting some space and some oxygen in the national dialogue. And I feel bad for not having talked about it on Cafecito very much. I think I mentioned it in passing, but it's about Asian hate crimes since the pandemic began. And we haven't really talked about that a lot here, but amazingly, and to his credit, the president last night specifically denounced attacks against Asian Americans. And I guess why I'm feeling a little guilty that I haven't talked about this is, in the other room sits an Asian American that I've been married to on August 10th, 25 years. And I've seen her make such a difference in the International District and in Albuquerque, being a teacher and educator at Van Buren Middle School, who, as it turns out, the profesora has made a difference in my wife's life, which is kind of cool. And right, Professor?
That's my job. Push people.
Good job.
Push them. So we are so thankful for her work in our state and every single teacher we have.
Indeed, indeed. So anyway, look, folks, let's kind of maybe turn our direction towards that space as well as we continue to lift up people that have been on the margins. And when we think about individuals on the margins, we don't always think about Asian Americans or Asian immigrants or that slice of the beautiful, diverse community that we have in New Mexico and in the United States. So I hope we can maybe reflect on that a little bit, as the president did a good job last night mentioning that. Here's the NPR story about his very audacious goals that he set out. Talk about audacious. I have Audacity back there behind me, Barack Obama. But he talked about, we know that he said that he wanted everybody vaccinated by May 31st. Well, last night he said he wanted everybody registered for the vaccine and have the vaccine available by May 1st. So he keeps bumping up that kind of deadline. He's moved the marker a little bit from saying vaccinated to registered and have the vaccine available by May 1st to everybody. So sounds like he's feeling like his team and all the governors who are working on deployment are going to be able to get that done. Now, let's not forget to celebrate excellence in New Mexico. For once, shouldn't say it that way. It is the rare occasion that we are leading the nation in a positive marker. And in this case, we are leading the nation in a positive marker. We are number one in terms of population who have received at least one dose of the vaccine. Number one. I think Alaska is right behind us, but we are number one. Texas is at the bottom of the list. We're at the top of the list. So I'm very proud of our governor, the Department of Health, and all the other departments and agencies that have pitched in during the pandemic to that have cross-trained so that we are not running government in silos, that we have got different cabinet secretaries who are not necessarily related to Department of Health stepping up, and they're using their skill set and their team to help move forward during the pandemic. So congratulations to New Mexico. Let's see, I think I have a link about that press conference yesterday that was led by many of our cabinet secretaries. Here's the KOB story for it. So there you go. Steffi Mack, good to see you. Dr. Lang, welcome back. Good to see you this morning. So there's I think all the links that I'm going to put up because it's 9:14, so we're coming up on my hard break. I guess the one other thing I wanted to say that was exciting, two things, and then I'm going to get to our guests. Look, the professor's like, does he talk the whole show, or did I come to actually engage in a conversation? No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to say two things. One, we are going to do, and I'll put the link here. Lely and I are going to work with Rosella and Chisholm Trail RV. They are both on the board for the Nuclear History Museum, and the gala is coming up a week from tomorrow. And in fact, we are going to put together a table for that. So if you got $100 and you want to support, or maybe 120, we're going to get free books, or not free books, but we'll give books to all our guests, and we're upgrading. I showed you the video for the gala this year, and it comes with like an appetizer or something is the packet. But we're upgrading. We're gonna do our little thing over at Frank Holloway's place. So we're gonna go to Hollow Spirits. He's gonna do some chicken fettuccine, blah blah blah, something like that, and some salad and dessert and all that. So we're gonna do something a little fancier. So we're upgrading the ticket price to $120. And those of you that normally know me, and when I do them here at the house, see, I'm doing half price. Last time you paid like $250 to join me for Maravilla. This is only $120 to make sure that we have the resources necessary to reach out with our STEAM education into our Title I schools. And that's why Aleli agreed to serve on this board. It's her passion point. She's been a Mesa educator. Thank you, Patricia El Chavez, for your leadership in Mesa. I'm pointing back here because I have her big Mesa award, but you can't see it because of my virtual background. But let me know if you want to join us on the 20th. I think we have 4 or 5 seats left out of the 10 that we're putting together in a very COVID safe way and compliant with the governor's order, but we are going to raise a little bit of money for the Nuclear History Museum. There's the link to the Einstein Gala. Hit me up in the chat or direct message or whatever. And then Maravilla did their big reveal. Did anybody pay attention to that yesterday? They did their big reveal. Maravilla Gala 2021. You know, they celebrate and lift up part of our Hispanic community somewhere around the world, as we are the one and only national Hispanic cultural center in the country, right here in Barelas historic neighborhood at the intersection essentially of, and the one and only intersection that brings together the phenomenal woman leader who is completely under-celebrated, native New Mexican, Dolores Huerta and Avenida Cesar Chavez. It's the only place in the country where there's 2 streets that come together named after those 2 civil rights and labor icons. And I'm so proud of Albuquerque and Bernalillo County and Las Mujeres and Mana and all the groups that came together that really made that happen. That was a heavy lift. Shouldn't have been, but a lot of people worked really hard on that. And I think they brought me in at the end to say something important and nice, and I did. But I know a lot of people worked on that long before I was brought to the table. So congratulations on that. Anyway, Maravilla is coming up. And so they did the reveal last night, and they are going to celebrate the 60 million Hispanics in the United States of America. So we you know, they did Argentina, Paraguay, Cuba. They did a beautiful rollout of all the Hispanic countries, nations. And we celebrated, I don't remember who we celebrated last year. Put it in the chat. I have some of my guests that came to my house last year. I don't remember. How could I forget? It's only a year ago. I know we did Puerto Rico the last time we did it in person. I wore my Boricua tie with my tuxedo. Anyway, enough about that. It's 9:18. Let me get to our guests. With that, I'm going to be quiet. We're going to start losing guests and visitors here. So Jessica, I'm going to turn it away to you, Superstar, to introduce our honorable leader who has joined us today, this dynamic duo from our awesome organization, the Hispanic Women's Council. So can you take it away, Jessica Perea?
Yeah, of course. I'm going to introduce Marisa, and she's the president of the Women's of HWC. And I'm just going to give a little bit background on her. So Marisa was born in San Luis Potosí, Mexico, where both of her parents were born and raised. When she was a year old, her family immigrated to the United States and settled in Animas, New Mexico, a small town that sits at the southwest corner of the state. She attended and graduated from Animas High School and received a full ride scholarship at the University of New Mexico. At UNM, she studied biology, where she got her bachelor's degree, and she developed an interest in the root causes of health disparities and inequalities in her community and in her state. So she applied and was accepted to the Master of Public Health program in UNM in 2015. And that same year, congratulations, she became a US citizen. And in the summer of 2018, she completed her MPH program. She was also accepted in a position at the Research Associate at the Pacific Institute for Research and Evaluation. She works there to support the local prevention programs that aim to address New Mexico's opioid and substance abuse problems. Outside of work, she enjoys spending time with her family, playing sports, and being involved in the community. She's a former HWC scholarship recipient and has much admiration and appreciation for the women that form the HWC, and she is honored to serve now as president. Welcome, Marisa.
Bravo. Bravo. Welcome, Marisa. Madam President, President Elias.
I can't get used to that. Thank
you. Have earned
Jessica.
it. Tell us about the origins and what originally drew you to this incredible organization that now you are the leader of. I mean, you go from, what's the word? You know, Aleli and I sponsor a student in El Salvador with the Friends of the Children of El Salvador. We've been doing it for years. I went out to El Salvador with Rafael and saw the program. I think we call them becarios. Is that the right word for scholarship recipient? Becario? Becaria? Would that be the
Mhm.
right word?
Yeah, or becado is how
Okay.
I've becado. Yeah.
Well, we know
Yeah.
that you went all the way from that, right? Didn't you go from that with this organization? And now
Yeah.
you're the mera mera. Sheesh. That's
Um,
amazing.
yeah. Yeah, actually, I just feel so fortunate that it started with Dr. Victoria Sanchez, who was president of the HWC at the time. And I was in graduate school. I think it was my last year of graduate school. And I remember vividly the day I ran into her. She was walking on campus, and I was, getting ready to go home, and I ran into her, and she said, "Marisa, you need to apply for the scholarship." And, and so I did. And I was one of the fortunate, recipients, and that's how I got involved with the organization. But on top of the financial support, very importantly, which I think, I can attribute, where I am today, is the mentorship provided as being a scholarship recipient. Dr. Victoria Sanchez was instrumental in me completing the graduate program. She helped me in so many ways with the networking. She helped me create my resume, submit that job application, which is the job I have now at the Pacific Institute for Research and Evaluation. She's continued to be just so supportive. And then that's, after I graduated, I, was invited to be on the board. Well, I became a member, and then I was invited to be on the board, and then now here I am. They somehow decided that that I would be fit now to serve as president, and I am honored by that. And as Jessica mentioned, I just have so much appreciation and admiration for these women, and not just Dr. Victoria Sanchez, who I've worked personally with, and all my colegas on the board, the members, but also the amazing women that have come through the organization in different capacities, the founders, the previous presidents. We have some phenomenal and impressive women doing great things, who have done great things, that have been part of the Hispanic Women's Council, which fits in with our theme today of Women's History Month. There's lots to celebrate, lots of women to celebrate from the Hispanic Women's Council.
Tell us about that. Okay, before we pivot over to Profesora, Ms. Impact over there, tell us, give us like a woman or two in history that's when you think of Women's History Month, you realize these women truly made history.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the one that's been on my mind recently is Dr. Marilucy Jaramillo. Yeah, she, we mourn her passing, and she was incredible, and yeah, and broke so many glass ceilings, right? She's just one of the examples of these amazing women that have been part of the organization. And honestly, the really neat part of being still fairly new to the organization is learning more and more about more women and the incredible things they've done.
Before you go, like before you pivot into the either ratcheting up or to the next person, like you're getting ready to, I just have to hit pause because, I regret that. Let me just say it this way: if Marilucy Jaramillo had still been here, if that incredible diplomat, that incredible shoemaker's daughter, that incredible ambassador to Honduras, in a time when we didn't have women ambassadors going to hotspots, and people have no idea it was a hotspot. Like if my surrogate mom Ophelia is watching, she was, she worked at the ambassador's elbow and led that office as assistant to the ambassador. She knew the impact that Marilucy had, and she was telling me, and it was just amazing. It was agrarian reform. It was, that whole region was, what do they call it? What it can explode? What's that expression? a keg, a powder keg. A powder keg. Have you ever heard that expression, right? A powder keg, right? That region was very volatile in huge transition. And there was little Mari Lucy Jaramillo,
Yeah.
embajadora, the shoemaker's daughter.
Yeah.
And she's from here. And,
Yeah.
and you know, I can't tell you, I mean, we probably had breakfast or brunch or lunch over at Barella's a half a dozen times. And I can tell you it was 100 times too few. I regret not going to see her weekly. Like what a living treasure she was, and what a loss for our community she was. So I'm sorry to take up those 3 minutes, but
Mhm.
I have not honored Mari Lucy on Cafecito before, and so I'm so glad you brought her up. So glad. Thank you. She is under celebrated in a very significant way. People have
Yeah.
no idea how
Mhm.
she was leading. Go ahead.
Mhm.
Let me give it back to you, Madam
Oh
President.
yeah, no, that I want to give Dr. Flores Dueñas also some time to talk about, since she's been involved with the HWC longer. I wanted to give her also some time to talk about, the wonderful women that she's, she knows of and has worked with as well. So yeah, I'll pass it over.
Great. Well, let me take it back. You know what, Jessica, I'm talking too much. How about you do the good profesora's bio? Why don't you do me a favor? You know, I pulled together a lot here for you. Why don't you start with the first paragraph that I gave you, and then maybe just the first couple paragraphs? Because let me just say, for somebody who's an assistant professor, like Google this name, and you'll see that the work and impact is deep, and really a phenomenal leader in elementary and secondary education programs. She coordinates that for the University of New Mexico, which is why her path has crossed with Aleli, who's been an educator at Van Buren Middle School for 20 years. She's just phenomenal. Department of Teacher Education there at UNM, Educational Leadership and Policy, lots of stuff, TECLA. But Jessica, do me a favor. I know I gave you a lot of stuff on the good professor, but maybe just hit the first two paragraphs, because I keep talking and people are already, they're trying to mute me and they can't find the button to mute me.
Leila Flores Dueñas has been a longstanding member of the Hispanic Women's Council. She was born in Kingsville, Texas, and her mother was a teacher and her father was a military officer whose career took them to many places in the US, Europe, and Mexico. As a child, she began studying ballet folklorico and artes plásticas a la Casa de Arte in Ciudad Victoria, the state capital of Tamaulipas, Mexico. Leila has sung, acted, and danced and choreographed in over 30 musicals. She has also sung mezzo-soprano, soloist, and classical music groups such as the University of North Texas Chorale, University Miami Chorale, and University of New Mexico Chorus. She taught school in Texas and Florida and went on to graduate school, completing her MA and PhD in curriculum and instruction with a specialty in multilingual studies, literacy education, bilingual education, and qualitative research from the University of Texas at Austin. Leila is now a professor at the University of New Mexico, where she currently teaches courses related to social justice and education and second language literacy, Hispanic folklore in the classroom. And throughout her academic tenure at UNM, she has maintained a career in the arts, singing in such groups such as Las Flores del Valle, Mucho Corazón, and Trino Latino. In her role at the Hispanic Women's Council, she has mentored many scholarship recipients to achieve their educational and professional goals. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. So nice to meet you, Jessica, and good to see you, Marisa, and of course, Brian Colon. I've seen you at so many events, mostly where we're performing, but in person, but also I think your show is just fabulous. I think it's you're in the right place, and I hope you keep doing this as long as you can, because I think that community wealth is what it's all about. These one-on-one relationships that we have, whether for me, my students at the university, or interacting with the women of the Hispanic Women's Council, which is an intergenerational organization. Literally, we have our abuelas and tias and sisters all join the organization, and we put on events, and we work really hard at preserving culture and really helping to create a path for women in leadership in the state of New Mexico. So it's been, I don't know how in the world, I think I was singing at something, and that's how I got invited to become part of the Hispanic Women's Council so many years ago. And like Marisa, that organization said, okay, that's all right, you're at Tejana, but you know what? We want to invest in you. And yes, we're going to wrangle you in and have you be the president as well. So I was the president in 2006. And from there, after that, I started saying we need to get a scholarship. In fact, we have so many students at UNM and CNM where our students are not graduating from college. They get financial aid early on, but they don't get it after about 2 years. So this is an organization that we've really tried tapping into those students. And so far, every year we have awarded about 20 to 25 scholarships every single semester. And it's not a huge scholarship. We put it out every spring, and it'll be coming out in April on our website. And that's nmhwc.com. And it's a scholarship that can be renewed every year as long as you come for your mentoring and you really are wanting to learn from the mentors. I have been, right now, I believe I have 25 students every single year. And Dr. Victoria Sanchez also has been mentoring for years. She's been fortunate to be able to retire during COVID. I wish I could, but during all these years, we've really helped to think about the students that are on the scholarship that cross from all different avenues. We've got students that are in digital arts, students that are in political science, medical school, law school, education, sociology, lots of them in what we would consider the STEAM areas. So science, technology, education, arts, and mathematics. So it's just impressive. Every year we have a meet and greet, and we listen to these not student teachers, that's who I work with, but we listen to our students. They cannot escape us without rewriting or cleaning up or valuing their experiences in a curriculum vitae, so that they start learning, oh, wow, I do have a lot of experiences. Yes, you do. It's time to get them on paper, time to share them, help them write cover letters to get into jobs, or help them to raise their grades. So we look very carefully at the people that apply. And this is a scholarship out at CNM and at UNM. And our goal is to help them transfer across these central and lead and coal. We want to make sure that they get to UNM. We do this by mentoring. So we have long mentoring sessions. We help them think about their careers, and we help them problem solve, because sometimes they might want to be a dentist, but all their science courses they're not looking like they could get into dentistry. So we're very careful about looking at what they do bring and what are some possibilities. And we do this with their transcripts and their vidas and their stories of their families and the women whose shoulders they stand on, like the rest of us do. So it's just a great organization.
I love that. And Professor, I just want to kind of underscore, it's been a beautiful week on Cafecito when I haven't had to cancel for the legislature, but I would just say that it seems like we've had a common thread this week about pipeline work. And with Professor Margaret Montoya, who you know well, she's always been so passionate about that P to 20 pipeline. And now you're talking about that pipeline of community college to our flagship. I've got one of my dearest mentees who I took from, thank you, Dr. Gomez Chavez and Dr. Lawrence Roybal. You both know you played a role in this work, but we took this individual who'd been kicked out on academic suspension with like a 1.9 or something, or whatever, 1.6 from UNM. wandered a bit, was committed to his education, went to CNM, did really well at CNM, got provisionally admitted back to UNM, and last semester got like a 3.5.
Yep, that's the way it happens. But somebody's got to take an interest in them,
Totally.
and it's got to be. I think when I was an undergraduate in college, I remember applying for a Hispanic scholarship, and I didn't get it because they said, well, your parents are educated. And how my parents got educated was a miracle. It just so happened that their high school teachers in Kingsville, Texas said, you know what, I teach at the college, just join my class. And the teacher registered them because they were both smart, both very civic minded, and somebody took their hand. And so my parents have taught me that that is your job. It's to serve others more than it is to serve myself. And so all of the music and all of the giving to the community, all of the learning about our own history, and then being able to impart that knowledge is where the power is. And so for me, like my hero is my mother, Sara Flores, Sara Dueñas Flores, and who was a teacher and who was also led organizations. I learned how to do that, be part of the civic organizations because of my parents, learn how to do fundraising, which in the Hispanic Women's Council, we do that every single year to give out these scholarships so that we support the undergrads, graduate students. And so we have bachelor's degrees, we have master's degrees and PhDs, and people who are trying to seek a certification, say in doing counseling for, like Marisa said, for people who have issues with substance abuse. As long as it's a certificate and they have been registered, they are registered in an institution, then we do consider their applications, because we believe that all of those avenues are about moving people into the professions that they would like to see themselves in. And we also, every now and then we'll get students that are like, oh no, my culture's not important to me. And we go, let's think about that for a minute. Let's think of the value of what it is you know from your own home community, the schools you went to. How about stepping into that? What would that look like for you? Learning more about your community, listening more to your family stories. And this is, there are no age limits. You don't have to be a 20-year-old, but you do have to have about 60 hours in college already, because we want to know that you've made an effort to get there, and we start investing in our students. And but we want them, the main thing for us is that we want them to know that they have so many life skills and values that they need to start speaking about and sharing and using to help others as well. So it is a constant pipeline kind of thing that we do with them as we're talking with them. And here's Marisa, you know, I mean, she's a perfect example. And the beauty of watching our own grow and give and also be mentors to others is just fascinating. So some of our students will say, I'm in charge of the NAMI group, which is the National Association for Mental, I'm not sure, health. But she says, you know, I like the way you do mentoring with me. I'm going to do that now with people in NAMI. And I'm going to make sure that we spread the wealth around about who's going to be the leader, who's going to be the president, who's going to be the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer of our organization. We need to spread that around because it really helped me. So I want to make sure that I help others. And I think that that time that it takes to invest in that is way worth it for our future as a people. It's time for us to step up and shine in the light. And so I think your show, Brian, does that.
Well, we try and bring the light, that's for sure. That was the original intent of this show, was to, you know, I needed some extrovert therapy. I needed people to engage with me. I needed to be able to engage with people. And I thought the best way to do that was during what appeared to be a time of darkness, was to try and bring some light, because there are so many people I know and so many organizations I know, whether it's the National Alliance for Mental Illness, as you just mentioned, NAMI, and their local work in New Mexico, and their local presence here in New Mexico, or whether it's the New Mexico Hispanic Bar Association or the Hispanic Women's Council. There's so many incredible platforms where people are making a difference every day. And we have so much to celebrate in terms of collective impact and intergenerational exchange of knowledge and wealth. Uh, we far too often get stuck in that rut of having a complex about ourselves and who we are. Yet we have the richest history in the entire United States of America, right here in the Tierra del Encanto. And no offense to our Tejanas, but I mean, I'm just saying that, we got you beat. Like when it comes to that rich, deep history and culture, I mean, look what's happening. Next week we'll have our first Indigenous woman confirmed in our cabinet for the President of the United States. And of what department? The Department of Interior. My goodness, the poetry of that is, look, my hair's standing up. The poetry of having an Indigenous woman run the Department of Interior is just incredible, just incredible. And that's New Mexico. That's New Mexico's history.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm here. I've been here, I guess, like 23 years at UNM.
I thought you got here because you were tracking the chupacabra.
Or maybe La Llorona, a ver cuál, right?
In your virtual background, you got two copies of tracking the chupacabra behind you.
I came here because, wow, I could sing here and celebrate our culture. And I think if you look at the arts in New Mexico and you look at folks like Ortiz y Pino and her work with the Congress to make sure that New Mexican arts came forward and in the community colleges, and that these could be technical careers. And then you look at New Mexico and you say, wow, the arts are alive in New Mexico. And in fact, the arts.
It's another woman. Thank you.
That's right.
Underline Concha. I mean, she is totally under-celebrated. When these young people often hear about Ortiz y Pino, they think of our phenomenal visionary and awesome senator, but there was Concha.
No, Concepcion. Absolutely. Well, you look at these women and we need to tell their story. So when I came here, I actually wrote my dissertation from Albuquerque. And even though I was a student at UT Austin, I came here and I just felt at home. I felt comfortable. And I felt like the way we're talking right now, el acento que tenemos, it's all accepted. And it's important to celebrate who we are and the different heritages that are in our past. I think New Mexico is not afraid to say who they are. And I love that. So as an artist, that was really important. And also we have the right people here to do research with and to, so I love it. I've been here. I feel very Nuevo Mexicana.
I love that. So you've mentioned some great women in history. Any others you want to lift up before I turn it back to Jessica? And I'm going to have Jessica kind of go one-on-one with Marisa if we can, Professor. I think that would be enriching to hear kind of the two of them share some perspectives with one another. But do you have another woman you want to underscore before we pivot over to Jessica?
Yeah. Well, to me, my dissertation is on looking at Chicanx students, which we didn't call them at that time, but and literacy and our way of communicating, and the fact that we often feel insecure about our way of communicating, even though we have so much access to language. And so when I began to read Sandra Cisneros and other Latina writers, for me, that was significant because it's time to stop feeling bad about the way we communicate. And we see someone like Sandra Cisneros, who won the MacArthur Genius Award for her discourse style and for her way of communicating stories and celebrating the way that she grew up, and also challenging what that was like. And so to me, women, we need writers, we need poets, we have them, but we need more. And so it's really, I think that we need to start feeling really good about the way we communicate and the talents that we have. And so to me, Sandra Cisneros is one of those voices that we can point to.
That's beautiful. And let me just say that I posted her landing page, and her pull quote on her landing page is, "We do this because the world we live in is a house on fire and the people we love are burning inside." So pretty powerful. Sandra Cisneros, I posted the link to her landing page. Check it out after this episode of Cafecito con Colon is over, because you don't want to miss a minute. We got another 15 minutes of these trifecta of awesome women. With that, I'm going to have Jessica Perea take it away. And thanks to New Mexico Hispanic Heritage Committee for hosting today, along with Enlace New Mexico, and for making this possible. Thank you, Dr. Lawrence Roybal and Dr. Jennifer Gomez Chavez and Irma Ruiz for bringing this episode of Cafecito con Colon. Jessica, take it away. Vámonos.
Yeah, of course. So as Profesora Dueñas was mentioning, you know, the work that the Hispanic Women's Council does is like through a lot of mentoring. And being with Enlace, that's kind of a lot of the work that we do. So I just want to know, Marisa, was there ever a mentor in your life that really helped you get to where you're at right now? And currently, do you mentor anybody?
Yeah, you know what, I am so fortunate. I've had a couple of different mentors, mujeres, in my life that have pushed me and supported me, especially, you know, in a place, in a space where I constantly felt like I was there by luck. And so, yeah, I've of course, I wanted to highlight, you know, my mom. She's just, I'm really close to her, and she's instilled a lot of values that you know, guide me to today and really that I owe it to her, this value of wanting to give back when you have something, and to share it. And that's really where, you know, our happiness comes from, is when you have, it's not having everything, it's that when you have something, you can share it with those you love. So just wanted to give a shout out to my mom for that. But when I was in college, you know, my best friend and / roommate, she started out as my roommate. She's now my best friend, basically like my sister. I was here in Albuquerque by myself. I didn't have family here. I didn't know anyone. I was the only one from Animas, New Mexico, who wanted to come to UNM. And so her family, you know, took me in as one of theirs, and her aunt, her mom, her aunts, have just been my champions, and they've always pushed me to, you know, do that thing. And so, you know, in the last couple of years, they've mentored me in many ways. And then, of course, like I said, I was a scholarship recipient with Hispanic Women's Council. And so that's how I got close to Dr. Victoria Sanchez, who continues to be my mentor. It really is, you know, they were just there at points when it's so easy to say, oh, like, I think this is as far as I got, you know, or I'm tired, or, oh, like, I don't belong here, which I think happens a lot, not just to our Hispanos, our Latinos in these spaces, but also to women. And so, yeah, I've had many mentors, and I'm so fortunate for that.
Beautiful, beautiful. I also had one more question, and that's, you know, you go from scholarship recipient to the president of this organization. So what was that process like? And what are your roles right now as the president of the
That's a great question. I feel like I'm still digesting all that too. My role as president started in February formally. or at the end of January. And so I have been on the board since, I guess, 2018, and serving in different committees, just trying to get the feel of everything. And with that, I'll mention some of the things that the Hispanic Women's Council does throughout the year are, there's the events that are specific to fundraising for the scholarship. And then there are also other events to promote, to create that network, keep us engaged with the other women in the membership. For example, like we have Mitote Power Hour, which we haven't been able to do because of the pandemic, but we're excited to resume that, once we can all safely meet again. But it's just an opportunity for, the women in the membership to get together and network.
And to exchange the mitote.
And to, exchange the mitote. And then there's also been, we've had people come and give talks. We've had presenters. Something else I wanted to highlight was, I think it was the year, so before the pandemic, so I guess 2019, we partnered, one of our board members set up a Juneteenth event, and to partner to bring in that aspect and that educational opportunity for the membership to learn, about the African American community, and the story behind Juneteenth. So there's a lot of things that the Hispanic Women's Council does throughout the year and organizes. And so to answer your question, like, what do I get to do? So I get to, help keep us, organized throughout the year and lead us, this year in these events, kind of be the spokesperson at these events. And I think that my fellow board members expect that I'm going to make sure we don't, that we're headed in the right direction, that we're growing how we want to grow, and, really recruiting members to the organization, and also just getting the word out about the great work that we do. Like Dr. Flores Dueñas explained earlier, we provide the scholarships, but what's really important about being able to provide the scholarships is that we have sponsorships and that we have donors, and so just trying to coordinate all of those. Yes.
Don't forget to talk about my Boricua justice here. Come on now, this is my peeps right here. Marisa, didn't you all do a great job for New Mexico in getting this incredible Wonder Woman superstar jurist to stop by with her beautiful, I mean, she comes from practically the neighborhood where my grandmother lived her whole life, almost 90 some odd years. And she was the most approachable, kind, warm, authentic. I mean, I've met a couple Supreme Court justices, but this one, super spectacular. Thank you for making this happen. You all did this, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I sure did.
Yeah, she received one of our Las Primeras awards, which is an award that the Hispanic Women's Council gives to honor women trailblazers, and Justice Sotomayor was one of them, and we were very fortunate. I wasn't involved with the organization at the time, so maybe Dr. Flores Dueñas can talk a little more about that. But yes, we were honored to have her at one of our events.
She is, that was just incredible. We had a couple of days with her. She came and talked to us. She wanted to know our individual stories, every single one of us. We had a smaller group that met with her. And then she talked with us about family stories and standing on our virtues, the virtues of our community, and recognizing what those virtues are. And so that was just an incredible highlight to look out at all the people that came. The place was packed. And I think she touched every one of us. You could see people just having these tears of joy in the audience, and wanting to know our stories. Before that, she met with a group of us, those of us who brought her, the organizations, particularly the Hispanic Women's Council, was not afraid to say, hey, you know, we're looking for a great speaker. Do you want to come? And she accepted. Así es de gente ella. Ella es gente. You can literally see that she is one of us. She could be a sister. She could be a tia. She could be someone's mother. You just felt like she understood who we were, and not just for us, but for the United States and the world. And so that was pretty incredible. And over the years, we really try to find folks that inspire us. So those Mitote Power Hours, they are power hours. Like if you wanna learn how to open a small business, then we'll put together a Mitote Power Hour and bring in people we know that are leaders in that field. And we will have them as speakers, and we'll all have a good time and have una margarita wherever we are. We also go and support the arts. You know, we'll go in droves to go see some play. We'll go in droves to support an artist, because part of the Hispanic Women's Council, our mission is to preserve our cultural heritage in all ways. So Sonia Sotomayor was that was just a highlight, but we're always planning things like that. Marilucy Jaramillo, we did a whole tribute to her. We also did to Petra Maes, and we do those kinds of large meetings with other organizations like Mana de Albuquerque, Mana del Norte, and also Las Mujeres. And a lot of us are in the different organizations. So we get together and we try to say, okay, I'll do this part, you do that part. I'll call these people. I'll help to get donors. We'll give up a table. And so, of course, for our scholarship to keep going, we really need, we see our scholarship for the Hispanic Women's Council. We always have a masquerade in October. And hopefully we'll get to have it this year. Yeah. But it's a charity ball, and this is where we come together. And you will see Dr. Lawrence Roybal and Dr. Jennifer Gomez Chavez coming to these events as well. You see El Centro de la Raza from the University of New Mexico coming, Enlace folks coming, because we are a community. We need to help each other out. So we really need people to say, hey, let's invest, even if it's $25. $25 goes a long way.
Well, let me just say, Professora, we put the link up to donate. So that is available and online, ready to go. Someone asked for that. So feel free to hit that link. I said, scroll to the bottom of the main page. I tried to put the direct link up, but then it was already connected to my PayPal account, so I couldn't use that one. But just go to the main landing page. I put the link there, scroll all the way to the bottom. You can join or you can donate to the scholarship fund. There's two different buttons there at the bottom. Pick the one you like and make it happen. Say this donation in honor of President Marisa, because she is the next generation. Right. Yeah. She is the one that went from Becaria to Presidente. So we're so proud of her, and we're so pleased to have had you on Cafecito con Colon. Any last thoughts, ladies, that we want to share before we wrap up today's episode of Cafecito con Colon?
I wanted to say that we are a 501c3. So if you, I'm not exactly sure what the parameters are, but your donation can also be tax deductible. And I'm not sure at what level that starts, but you can certainly ask the question.
If you're a 501c3, which you are, all those donations are 100% tax deductible, provided you just make them online, because you are not receiving any goods or services for that. You are simply supporting incredible young Hispana, Latina, Chicana, Latinx, Latinx, Chicanx, whatever word you want to use that describes you, Mexica, whatever it is that you want to describe. We embrace the entire Hispanic community. And so does this incredible organization, because they build up leaders that was once a scholarship recipient, now to be president of the organization. So go online and make that contribution. And if you do, let me know and I'll get you a Cafecito con Colon mug.
All right, cool.
All right, so that's the professor's last thought. Marisa, your last thought?
Yeah, just I think going back to the I think the big takeaway for me from being on your show, hearing about all these incredible women, learning about them all this time is something that I heard before, and it's when one of us wins, we all win. And this is, I believe in that. I believe that's been the mission of the Hispanic Women's Council, and here we are. Thank you so much for having us.
And now, Brian, we're calling this we're calling this Women's Month, International Women's Month. No nada más el día 8 de marzo, but the whole month of March.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna lift up all of women's history, and particularly all those women internationally, and we get to do that here in New Mexico coming up in Maravilla 2021. We're gonna celebrate and lift up 60 million Hispanics here in the United States of America, the fastest growing population coast to coast, led by those people right here in the land of enchantment, the Tierra del Encanto, the 47 star on that beautiful flag of the United States of America. I'm honored to bring this show to you every day. I've had a trifecta of women. Jessica, tell me about your weekend before I sign us off.
Just studying.
All right, well, keep your head in the books, except for Fridays from 8:45 to 10:15, because those are mine.
Of course.
Ladies, thank you for joining me on Cafecito con Colon. It's been a delight. You're always welcome. And thank you for the impact you have multi-generationally.
And Jessica, don't forget
Thank
to
you.
go after April, go to our website and apply.
I will. You know what? I was actually going to look into it. Yeah.
Do it.
All right, get on there and apply. All right, folks, that's Cafecito con Colon for the Friday edition. Tomorrow we'll have Sabido Gigante. I'm no Johnny Canales, but I got Sabido Gigante for you. We're going to be with Dr. Mays tomorrow, another dynamic woman leading the way. So don't forget to join us tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Until then, let me know if you want to join me for the Einstein Gala to support that STEAM work that Profesora Flores Dueñas is helping lift up in New Mexico as we build up our educators each and every day. We thank President Marisa. We love that she was able to join us today. We love your story. Your lived experience inspires us. And my dear friend Jessica, we'll see you soon. So let me know if you want to go to Einstein. We look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you for talking about Mari Lucy today. It made my day. Loved her.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.